In this video, I will explain how to find the initial velocity in a projectile motion problem in physics. So let's jump right into an example. This says, a soccer ball is kicked horizontally off a 22-meter tower and lands a distance of 35 meters from the edge of the tower. Determine the initial horizontal velocity of the soccer ball. So I've gone ahead and drawn this situation. We have this 22-meter tower. This person is standing on the top and they're kicking a ball off the tower. We know that the ball lands 35 meters away from where the edge of the tower is. And our question is, what is the initial horizontal velocity? What must this value have been in order for that ball to actually land exactly 35 meters away? So the key equation that we're going to use here is x, the displacement in the x direction, or the horizontal direction, is equal to the initial velocity in the x direction times time. So we know what this x value is. That's 35 meters. That's the displacement of the ball. And we want to find this initial velocity in the x direction, but we don't know the time. So we don't know the time that it will take for the ball to actually reach the ground. So first we need to figure out what is this t value. So to figure that out, the equation we can use is this. Y minus y0, so the ending y position minus the initial y position, is equal to, that will be the initial y velocity times time, and then we add to that 1/2 times gravity times time squared. So the value for gravity right here, that's going to be negative 9.8 meters per second squared. So that's a value that we have to know in order to solve this problem. So let's go ahead and fill in the values that we know. Y, this is the final y position. So if we say that the ground right here, if we say this is 0 meters, then the final y position is going to be 0 meters. And we can say the initial y position is all the way up here at the top of the tower at 22 meters. So let's go ahead and fill in those values. So we'll say 0 minus 22 is equal to, now this is really important, the initial velocity in the y direction is 0. Because remember, this ball is being kicked horizontally directly off of this tower. So there's actually no initial velocity in the y direction. So this is actually 0 times t. And then we add 1/2 times, again, gravity is negative 9.8. And then we have times t squared. So if we simplify a little bit, we get negative 22 is equal to, this is 0, 1/2 times negative 9.8, that's negative 4.9. And then we have t squared. So to solve for t, we're going to divide both sides by negative 4.9. Now on this left-hand side, negative 22 divided by negative 4.9, that turns out to be positive 4.489. And on this right-hand side, these negative 4.9s cancel out and we're left with t squared. So to solve for t, we'll just take the square root of both sides. And we'll find that t is equal to, this turns out to be 2.12, and we'll say seconds. So it will take 2.12 seconds for this ball to actually reach the ground. So now that we know this t value, we can plug that in up here into this formula, and we'll be able to solve for this initial velocity in the x direction. So let's write that over here. We'll say, let's rewrite it. X is equal to the initial velocity in the x direction times time. So we know that x, the total displacement, is 35. That's equal to the initial velocity in the x direction times time, which we just found is 2.12. So to solve for this value, we're just going to divide both sides by 2.12. And we find that this initial velocity in the x direction is equal to, these cancel out, 35 divided by 2.12. That turns out to be 16.51. And we're talking about velocity, so that will be meters per second. So that is our final answer. That is what the initial horizontal velocity of the soccer ball must have been if it was kicked off a tower with this height and it landed 35 meters away. So that is how you can find the initial velocity. The two key equations that you have to know are this first equation right here and this second equation right here. If you know these two equations, then you can always solve this type of problem that involves kicking some ball or throwing some ball off of a tower.